So, hi to everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of Open Lecture Series in iCrypex Financial Masters Program. So, in this episode, we will cover the past and future of Ethereum blockchain. So, let me share the screen and let's also remind ourselves which topics we have covered in the previous episodes. You will remember that we have started with the coverage of wallets in general, the wallet structure, where we have also investigated the topics of keys, public keys, wallet addresses, and differences among them. Then we have proceeded with a brief categorization of crypto assets, where we have mentioned about stable coins, also digital currencies, usually designed by central banks or FinTech companies, or tech-fin companies, as we say, giant technology companies, which are also providing financial services. Then we have briefly discussed about the cryptocurrency regulations around the world in the third episode. And beginning from the last one, from the fourth episode, we have started investigating main cryptocurrency projects one by one. And last time it was Bitcoin. We have briefly discussed about Bitcoin's past and future. And you will remember that we have also discussed the hot topics, which are also making up the headlines in the TV channels, especially with the topic of, is Bitcoin filthy? Or is Bitcoin consuming so much energy and electricity so that it causes global warming? So these questions were mainly about the protocol of Bitcoin, which is based on proof of work mechanism, which requires devices, some hardware, ASICs devices especially, or mining devices in general, which are providing the supply of Bitcoin in general. But is it the only way to produce cryptocurrencies? Are there any other solutions to this? Are there any cryptocurrency projects which are completely independent of any hardware equipment, but still allowing for the production or supply of that cryptocurrency? Before investigating these questions, as usual, I would like to introduce the outline for this episode. We will start with a challenging question for the episode so that you can all contribute to the discussion part in the comment section of this YouTube video. Then we will mainly investigate in a brief way, of course, about the past and future of Ethereum. But of course, we will begin with the definition of Ethereum. And the next topic will be, what are the differences between Bitcoin and Ethereum? Are they same in terms of the structure? Are they both decentralized fully? What about their vision for the future? Are they the same? They are trying to provide the same services to the humanity, etc. And we will finalize this episode by a brief discussion of metrics, news, and analysis. So let me reveal you the challenging question first. We are in a world that may be too much digitalized, so that not only we are broadcasting live thanks to internet technology, but all our social life was, especially during the pandemic times, were based on digitalization, which also causes some severe problems, which is starting from the lack of privacy, misusage of our personal data, too much collection of our sensitive personal information by many others, sometimes known companies, sometimes unknown agents. And I would like to start with questioning this fact. Thanks to technology, thanks to digitalization, well, our life looks like simpler in many ways, starting from communication to financial services, from education to our social lives. But on the other hand, what about the control of our sensitive personal information? Many years ago, probably people will not be that much aware that our personal information has a huge value, financial value. Indeed, all of the advertisements are based on our personal habits. Once you search for some thing on internet, you are very familiar with the fact that just the next day you will see lots of advertisements about the item that you are looked for in maybe online shopping websites. This means some websites or some firms are in an immense manner collecting your personal information. Not only that, selling that personal information to some other companies. But is it the only way, or can we make a categorization and a distinction between like white labeled firms and black labeled firms? Can we say that it is okay for governments to collect our personal information, but not for the firms? This is also a hot topic for actually today, because in the news we have seen that China bans Didi, which is the biggest ride-hailing service, and now it is stopped or banned by China from the app stores. Why this is important? Because of the argument behind this ban. Chinese government said that, well, they are illegally collecting personal data, and they are using it for other purposes. But underlying statement was also this: no company can have more personal data than governments. So this brings us to another debate, which is related to the authorization of some others, and without maybe our control, giving all the authority to sell, collect, and use that sensitive information, which will affect our lives in near future, apparently. But is it the only way, or can we have some other opportunities, some other possibilities where everyone can have their own control on their personal data? Well, it looks like, thanks to decentralized technologies, there might be some hope for that. And in the previous episodes, we have mainly discussed about Bitcoin's functionality as a peer-to-peer financial asset, like a new currency, and also inflation proof. But is it the only area, only the financial services that we are vulnerable to violation of our privacy and also other personal data violations? Is it possible, for example, that we will use completely decentralized web services where there is no violation of our privacy? So it looks like there are some huge and very promising steps for the humanity thanks to the technology. And that's why I would like to introduce you Ethereum for the ones who haven't been exposed to it. Well, all of the materials are based on the main reference of ethereum.org, and I would invite anyone who would like to learn deeper and deeper for this new blockchain platform. Well, new is, of course, quite a relative term for the ones who are new to blockchain technology. So Ethereum is new, but in terms of the ones who are already experienced, well, the main date is 2015. So it is relatively newer than a Bitcoin once we compare it to 2008, but still it is 6 years old. And what is the promise? Well, it says very explicitly that it is the foundation for our digital future, and it is open to everyone. And just the thing you need is a wallet that we have discussed in the very first episode. And thanks to that wallet services, which are the connections to the blockchain, then actually a decentralized world where not only the financial services, but all other services can be functioned in a decentralized way, completely independent of any central body. And let me just briefly compare it to Bitcoin. For Bitcoin, it was designed to be a peer-to-peer transfer currency. And that's it, actually. So to transfer a value, Bitcoin serves actually very well. Well, although the value is speculative, if we ignore the financial stability aspects, well, in many ways, it is functioning and fulfilling its purpose. On the other hand, it is not enough. So the transformation of the digitalization brings us to a world where we need actually further services, including the social services, including education services, including a completely new web where there are no hierarchy of the companies or where are no monopolies which can use those personal data for their own profit. Thanks to decentralization, for the first time, it is actually possible that the most valuable asset for the human beings, which is all based on the personal information, personal data, personal assets, can be in control of the people. So that is kind of a revolution. And the main difference of Ethereum from Bitcoin is it is not, first of all, a coin. Actually, it is a platform. And more importantly, it is a platform which can be still programmable by anyone who is interested in doing so. Meaning that it provides a platform where anyone can enter to it and also develop his or her own applications. And those applications, although I have said his or her application, that those applications on Ethereum are designed in a way that no single person or no single institution is under full control of it. Once it is based on the code, then actually, and if that code is on Ethereum, then it is by design decentralized. But of course, the degree of decentralization is another point. So there are many projects, or there might be some projects up to the scalability issues, or by design of its smart contract, as we say, not that much decentralized, but still the promise or the possibility that Ethereum provides to everyone who is interested is now we can develop fully decentralized applications. Those applications can be in finance, but those applications can be in social media as well, or for education, or for trading, or for shopping. So basically, which area that you want to focus, there is a way to develop a decentralized application on it. And one popular subject in the recent months is the new field of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which we will discuss in the later episodes. So let me briefly mention about some properties of Ethereum. First of all, it is actually private, meaning that as it is written here, so let me just also scale this up. So you don't need to provide any actually personal details to use an Ethereum application. And Ethereum is building an economy based on value, but not surveillance. So the surveillance is the keyword, of course, in today's world, because humanity was never this much digitalized and never this much surveilled, so under monitor. And all of that data that belongs to us, that belongs to people, is actually not under control of the people that have them, that own them. That is usually under control of the other companies or other institutions. Well, of course, one critical justification for that usage and collection of personal data is providing a better service, meaning that not only of course, economic reasons, so developing new services by the firms, by the authorities, by the government is the main critical justification of collecting personal data. But on the other hand, of course, it should be always an option that there are some other opportunities for the ones who are respecting the financial and personal freedom in terms of also the privacy. And another fundamental usage and motto of Ethereum is, of course, financial inclusion argument. We know that not everyone has access to financial services, but due to the development of dApps, as we say, decentralized applications, it is now possible for using lending services, borrowing services, saving products without being obliged to any central institutions or to a bank. And it is, of course, quite new because for years, if not centuries, all of the financial services were provided by some groups or some firms or some banks. So building a new financial system, including banking services, is completely new, and thanks to Ethereum. For Bitcoin, it was the transfer unit. It was like the currency itself, which is used for transferring a value from one peer to another. But Bitcoin's vision or promise was never ever developing a completely new financial system, which is providing all of the banking services. So if Ethereum fulfills this promise, of course, it will have immense effects, not only for firms, but also for governments, but basically for people, because it will create another alternative way of doing stuff, any stuff. So how to get into this? It is actually very easy. So you just need a wallet that we have discussed before, and you need to have some Ether. So the Ether and Ethereum is usually confused. So Ether is the currency of Ethereum platform. So Ethereum is the blockchain itself, and Ether is the currency on it, meaning that for any operations on Ethereum, you need to use Ether. This includes even programming or running a code. So of course, once you have some operations or running a code, you will not be consuming one unit of Ether. So there are many subunits of it, but the idea is simple. So Ether is the communication device of Ethereum blockchain. So it is way above of being a single currency stuff. So it is the way the Ethereum platform works. Every agreement, every code, every application is based on the using of Ether. So once more, I would like to make this distinction clear. In Bitcoin blockchain, the currency is also called Bitcoin, and it is mainly designed for sending some value from one place to another. In Ethereum, it is a platform, it's a blockchain, and Ether is the currency in this platform, but not only used and designed for transferring some value from one place to another, it is designed for also doing business in every sense, from developing a new application to running a code, or to govern the decentralized organizations, for example, which we will visit in the further episodes. So decentralized organizations are now possible thanks to this new decentralized platforms. And of course, some key points: it is free from censorship, it is backed by cryptography, and those dApps are anonymous. And most importantly, anyone who just wants to build a new decentralized application, there are lots of documents, lots of materials which teach how to build those applications on Ethereum in a very easy way. And another way and key word that we will visit in the later episodes is the code itself. And here, the code is not just a piece of lines of algorithms, but they are functioning as contracts. We know contracts from our daily lives, but smart contract is a code which is like a constitution of the Ethereum platform. And we should say this in plural format, because for any decentralized application, a smart contract is the fundamental feature of it. And those some smart contracts are like the laws or constitutions of those applications. And another key point is, once a dApp is deployed on Ethereum, actually you cannot change it. And they should be by design decentralized, because they are written by the code into the contract. And by the design of Ethereum, actually no single person is eligible to control it fully, as long as it is deployed correctly and it is used by people, by other nodes in general. As I mentioned, one important main reference is the ethereum.org website itself. And for anyone who is interested in reading further, that is the main resource for them. Last time we had visited this website, Transaction Street, which is a quite nice illustrative way of blockchains. And in the 4th episode, we have visited this website for Bitcoin. And today, actually, we will revisit it for Ethereum. And I think like one picture is worth of 1,000 words. So this website and these illustrations are indeed very valuable to understand a brief comparison of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what we see here, first of all, we have lots of statistics, and let me briefly mention some of them. For example, the average block time for Bitcoin is 10 minutes. Meaning that these blocks or these wagons in this illustration are like the blocks. So on average, in every 10 minutes, one block is moving here, meaning confirmed in the blockchain. On the other hand, for Ethereum, it is by design much faster. So average block time is 14 seconds instead of 10 minutes. Meaning that these wagons are, but be careful, they are first of all smaller. So it is in terms of its capacity. So they are much more faster than Bitcoin wagons, according to this illustration. But still, we see that there are times where this part, which actually shows the waiting transactions, pending transactions, might be even more crowded than Bitcoin's pending transactions. Literally, Ethereum can be stuck at some point, or sometimes. We have seen this. So one analogy will be like this. So it is a highway with many cars are using it. But since there is a huge demand, sometimes even a highway might suffer from a traffic jam. And we have seen this in some periods for Ethereum blockchain. Which determines the priority of these transactions is the same with Bitcoin blockchain. It is the fee, the commission fee offered by the requesters, meaning that the owners of the transactions. If you want to send some Ether to another person, or if you want to make an operation and for that operation you need to use Ether, then everything should be recorded in this Ethereum blockchain. And for that, you need to pay a fee. So that fee is also used for understanding the like the traffic jam in Ethereum blockchain. So what is the crowdedness of the transactions? And the measure is actually through gas price, or GUE as we say. So these numbers are roughly estimating the based value in calculation of the gas prices. And you see that there are here shown 4 options. You might prefer slow transactions, meaning that you don't have any urgency, so you can wait more than 10 minutes for your transaction to be confirmed. So then 32 will be enough for that transaction to be confirmed. But if you are in urgency, you need to pay a much higher fee, basically, which is now 51 for rapid transactions. But there were times where these numbers were crazy, meaning that for sending $100 worth of Ether, there were some times that you had to pay more than $100 worth of Ether in terms of gas price. So this is basically the case where this part is fully crowded and Ethereum network is stuck. This is one of the reasons, but not the only reason, that now Ethereum is also preparing itself for another version, Ethereum 2.0, as we say. And the main idea for that is actually switching from proof of work to proof of stake. We will be discussing these protocols in detail with comparison, but for the preparation of that episode, let me just briefly make an analogy for this. In proof of work, as we have discussed with Bitcoin, and actually all of the main criticisms for Bitcoin through its energy consumption is related to its proof of work mechanism, where the miners, to mine the next block, need to prove that they have solved the cryptographic puzzle, which is basically finding the nonce for the required hash output. For the ones who are familiar with these terms, no problem. For the ones who are hearing these terms for the first time, as I promised, we will be investigating these topics in detail in the further forthcoming episodes. The logic of this proof of work is basically this. Invest in some equipment to increase your chance to successfully mine a block and get the reward of block, which is 6.25 Bitcoin right now. And on top of that, the fees, total fees, which are coming through the confirmed transactions offered and paid by the senders, basically. So the reward mechanism is block reward for Bitcoin and then the fees. And the cost is, of course, the electricity or energy consumed by those devices which are competing to compute the necessary nonce for the required hash output. So this mechanism actually not that efficient for sure, but it is quite essential for its security. But another idea might be this: let's get rid of the intermediary step. Instead of investing by paying for a hardware equipment, ASICs devices, mining devices, I mean, instead of this, invest directly on Ethereum platform with the units of Ether. So this is preparation for everyone for the concept of staking. And with Ethereum 2.0, there will be no mining, but instead there will be validating. Let me just revisit this website. So for now, these blocks are also mined. So Ethereum 1.0 at this stage, it is based on proof of work, like Bitcoin. So there are still equipments needed for Ethereum network to work. But with Ethereum 2.0, to increase the probability that you will be, if you are in Ethereum platform and wants to confirm a new block, wants to mine a new block, without any equipment, you can prove that you are an investor in terms of staking, in terms of investment of the Ethers that you have made for the platform. So this is called staking for the possibility of validating a next block. So the terminology is basically miner in proof of work, validator in proof of stake, and mining in proof of work, validating in proof of stake. And as the names suggest, in proof of work, the miners need to prove their work, which is finding the nonce for the required hash output. For proof of stake, the validators need to prove that they have staked some Ethers for this. And there's a minimum value for that, which is 32 Ethers for Ethereum 2.0. But of course, this is the minimum point. So if you want to increase your chances for validating a block, so it is in linear proportion to the number of Ethers that you have staked for Ethereum 2.0. So for all the details about validating Ethereum 2.0, how to do these operations, how to become a validator, which is basically staking 32 Ethers as the first step. But as I mentioned, the number might be larger. So all of the information can be found in this main reference, which is launchpad.ethereum.org. I would like to finalize by discussing some new metrics. And for today's episode, actually, the crypto finance metrics is showing us the statistics about the status of Ethereum 2.0. For now, there are 6.16 million Ether staked for Ethereum 2.0 contract. And this is done by 37,774 staker addresses. And currently, of course, for this staking, there is also a return of investment. And currently, this number is 7.29. And compared to the interest rates in the traditional financial world, of course, this number is huge, because in the developed countries, the interest rates, the real interest rates, are near zero at this moment. And for covering some latest headlines, there are some interesting news indeed. For example, one of the biggest international auction houses will be accepting in payments in Bitcoin or Ether this Friday. On the other hand, Bank of Jamaica is joining to the institutions which are designing their own central bank digital currency, which we will be also covering in detail, but we have partially covered in the previous episodes. And these times are maybe not the correct times to understand the problems of Ethereum 1.0, because gas prices are actually dropped down to their historically lowest levels. And in this gasnow.org website, so these numbers are compared to the previous levels, they are indeed low at this moment, meaning that, as this also website confirms, I mean, if you want to send a transaction, well, it is kind of immediate right now. But as I mentioned a couple of times, we have seen that this network is stuck completely for some hours, if not days, at some times. And finally, it is interesting, I think, that with all the criticisms about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the mass media TV channels, and lots of negative propaganda about cryptocurrencies, including harsh criticisms for polluting the environment against miners, US seems to be the world's most crypto-ready country, followed by Cyprus, Singapore, Hong Kong, and UK. So it looks like these countries like China, USA, and others, they are not only with established financial institutions, but they are also the most crypto-ready countries, which is a bit counterintuitive to the popularity of the cryptocurrencies in developing countries. And I would like to also share the final news that the CEO of Visa told that the crypto transactions for its crypto-linked cards have exceeded $1 billion in the first 2 quarters, just in the first 2 quarters of 2021. It looks like we will see days where the financial institutions, established financial institutions and products will be integrated with blockchain technology more and more in the forthcoming days and months. So let me just stop sharing and check if there are some points that I have missed, or if there are some other comments. I think we can stop here, and many thanks for your time for watching this video, and we will give references to these episodes in the further lectures as well. So if you have any comments or requests for the topics especially that you prefer to be covered in these lecture series, you are more than welcome to write those in the comment section. All the references and all the metrics will be provided in the just subsection of this YouTube video, so that you can reach them easily, you can access this easily. So many thanks for watching, and looking forward to meeting you in the next episode. See you.